When I create or when I make art, it's like for me to find I am a witness for the time. My project is about the queer culture in Bangladesh. It represents gender fluidity and pluralism. My favorite medium is photography. It's a way to conversation. It's a way to make real life performance. It's a way to finding myself. It helps me to find my breath.
Being an artist in today's world can be dangerous as well if you do choose to write the pure truth. You can write that truth in different ways. What we have tried to create is just a simple human message of equality, that you can be who you want to be regardless. I think I'm definitely more open to experimenting and not thinking about what people would think. So now I just try and bring everything together, and I guess this project has really enabled me to do that.
My project is about historical architecture that were built in the British Raj era. I'm trying to personify those buildings in some way and trying to tell their stories, things they have witnessed. When someone migrates and goes to a different land, to the unknown, there are so many things to share.
The first thing I thought of was my relationship with my culture. I think we can all feel lost at any point in our lives, and feel a bit of that lost soul. Parents that came in the 60s are still trying to make sense of why they're here as well. But there is something particularly interesting coming from a different country and making this other country your home. I knew I wanted to unravel something around my father. I've created this world where it's everything I once said. Memory is something that you cheat yourself as well as come round to really believing what happened in the past. You're making sense of things for the first time because you're not always admitting the truth.
So my project is about survivors who actually experienced sexual violence in their life at some point. A couple of years back, there is a case like gang rape happened in here, and there is a huge protest going on after that, and I started documenting the whole thing. Now I am trying to unfold the stories, those who have experienced such violence like sexual violence or physical violence or emotional violence. And I have seen in here the topic is very unspoken and untold, and there's a taboo. People don't talk about it. As an artist, I think it's my responsibility to show their stories through my work.
I'll be exploring intergenerational ancestral trauma within our Bangladeshi community. Silence is golden and we don't speak about anything outside our own family. And this is another type of trauma that gets passed on because you never get to actually just tell people how you're feeling. And if you actually dealt with the trauma at the time, it wouldn't linger and then get passed on. So now that I've come towards the end of my project, I think I've grown as an artist, having the confidence to develop your own body of work at the same time. I think the biggest thing is to trust my instinct as an artist. And I knew that the importance of it, that's been the biggest learning curve, to trust myself more.
My project is about melding design, music, and poetry together to kind of give a tribute to our tradition and the memories that we live with. To me, it's like a meditation. It's like going into a trance, and when you're in, there's that spot that you hit when you're making that at the right time. It just hits you, and it all makes kind of sense. So I think a lot of artists go through that, and we as artists, I think we just wait for that moment that when it will strike. This is my first time working with someone who's far, far away, and who's a textile artist. So I got to learn a lot of new things that I didn't know. I was introduced to a new world, and I think it really helped my, it certainly widened my work.
It is the slowest means of producing textiles in the world, and it's a weaving technique where weave happens simultaneously on the loom to embroidery. The embroidery looks like it's floating, which is very poetic. And there was a huge decline of Jamdani during the 70s due to colonial export policies favouring more manufacturable means of production. You know, it's like when you have a record and you sample a section of that old classic, and then all of a sudden it's popularised and everyone's listening to it, but they don't understand the roots. I want to engage in a conversation about the roots, and I want to engage in a conversation about the importance of handmaking, real handmaking. It's just a conversation about the value of handmaking.
When I want to create something or to visual something, I really want to go deep inside. Like I want to explore before I started my journey, try to create a alternative narration or to express myself or to understand my life. I'm always trying to ask questions. There are lots of rules you have to follow, but if you want to break this, you have to like perform in a way that you are a free soul.
I want to make something that is reflective of my voice as an artist, because I guess this industry, the creative industry in general, wants to cage us all. They want us to work towards being be prescriptive to write or create certain things that are palatable, and I don't want to do that. I want to be honest about my kind of storytelling, and I think it's quite specific. And with this project, I'm allowed so much freedom to be able to do that this just seems like the perfect opportunity right now at this time. My idea's definitely evolved and developed. It hasn't changed in terms of what I'm doing and what I'm exploring. Yeah, how I'm doing it has definitely changed, and I'm really challenging myself and pushing myself and my artistic boundaries.
When I have a piece of empty paper and I start making scratches and something new appears on the empty space, it gives me a kind of happiness that I don't usually find in other kind of works. Mainly we are trying to show powerful women who have not only been part of different religions as forms of deities, but also who had a very big impact on the communities. I think that people, when they had to form a relationship with nature, these both Monusha and Bon Bibi acted as a guidance.
Me and Hajita, we're working on exploring different folklores. It's a story of, she's a woman called Bon Bibi. So she helps protect villagers against tigers or wild animals. Now that it's finally coming to the end, I'm like, oh, I can see where all the research has gone. I always want things to feel quite light. Even if there's a darker side to the story, I don't stray away from darker stories either. I think it's important to show darker sides and lighter sides to a story, because that's the truth.
Drawing has been a great passion for me. It allows me to transform my energy to create something new, help me to understand about myself and my surroundings differently. My project is about a shape, a found shape from an old architectural space. This space is one of the key locations of this city, and it has diverse characteristic materials, a good source to tell stories of the whole city. It has historical value as well as economic significance.
That's the one place that I've really been struggling with a lot, understanding how can I talk about my Bengali heritage and how can we kind of come together and almost tell one story. How can I talk about a world that I don't live in? The biggest question that was on my mind was, am I appropriating my own culture? And that has laid heavy on my mind for so long. I feel like my world's just got bigger a little bit. I still feel quite hung up about, being queer, being in East London. I'm really learning how to be Bengali without people's perception of what Bengali looks like. That's almost puts us in the diaspora in a beautiful but painful place where we're almost like, I really want to be as close to that, but then also have to accept that I'm not. And actually there is no, I don't need to perform to that.